Until now, mainly known for one of its icebergs, part of the Jakobshavn Glacier, for sinking the Titanic in 1912, Greenland is back in the limelight once again, whose strategic influence ironically grows as global warming increases. While President Trump's jibe at Canada is only half serious.
What I'd like to see Canada become our 51st state.
He's dead serious about buying Greenland, the mineral-rich island with about 32% of the world's rare earth minerals. A critical resource required to dominate industries of the future in artificial intelligence, defense, supercomputers, electric cars, lasers, wind turbines, etc. So critical that he is even ready to provide arms to Ukraine, something he vowed not to, provided Ukraine, who are themselves rich in such minerals, keep feeding America's appetite for them. China too controls about the same percentage, 32% of these rare earth minerals, and plans to use it as a trump card when Trump imposes trade sanctions, because America imports 80% of its requirements from them. Already, China has restricted the export of graphite, gallium, germanium, and antimony to the US, items which have widespread military applications, and is eyeing Greenland's resources, like in 2013 when the Chinese clandestinely used an Australian mining company to extract uranium from Kvanefjeld, believed to be the 6th largest after Greenland's parliament repealed its ban on mining radioactive material in 2013. Trump's long-term MAGA vision is to secure Greenland's rich mineral deposits, which right now are difficult to reach, hidden under sheets of thick ice that cover 81% of the island. But with global warming melting layers of ice, these deposits would be more easily accessible in the future. To take an example, Greenland lost 12.5 billion tons of ice on just a single day on August 6, 2019, enough to put all of Florida under 5 inches of water. Melting ice also opens up shorter trade routes for America via Greenland and the Arctic. But China benefits too, whose polar silk route can slash the time it takes to reach Rotterdam from northern China from 48 days via the Suez Canal to a possible 19 days via the Arctic. Owning Greenland would give the US larger mining rights in the Arctic as well, a region that holds an estimated 22% of the world's reserves of natural gas, oil, and minerals. Trump acted on this mouth-watering thought in his last term by engaging in secret backroom talks with Denmark. Now he sent his son, Donald Trump Jr., to Greenland, who handed out MAGA hats, promising to make Greenland great again. But this time, after Trump's threat, Denmark remade its coat of arms, giving more prominence to Greenland and Faroe Islands, the 2 territories they control. However, even earlier in 2016, the US had successfully pressured Denmark to refuse China access to Groenendahl, a former US naval base. In his first term, Trump also scuttled China's proposal to build 3 airports in the Greenland. But there is more nuance to this proposal. When Hitler captured Denmark in 1940, America under President Franklin D. Roosevelt occupied Greenland, a Danish colony since 1775, as a protectorate, setting up an airbase at Thule, 750 miles north of the Arctic Circle, as a refueling station for long-range bombing missions and as an advance warning post. Today, the highly strategic 600-strong base stations the U.S. Air Force Space Command's 21st Space Wing, equipped with AWAC ballistic missile systems, serving as a counter to both China and Russia, the latter who reoccupied its abandoned Soviet military base at Kotelny Island in the Arctic in 2016. Given its strategic location between the Arctic and North Atlantic, the war in Ukraine has dramatically increased Greenland's military value to the country, and Denmark's navy is largely incapable of guarding the 30,000 miles of rugged coastline from prowling Russian and Chinese subs and ships. The 76mm cannon on the Coast Guard's patrol's deck was largely for show. It could fire a cannon but couldn't hit anything. The rest of the Danish Joint Command's fleet of 7 vessels was no better and often under repair. The Danish Defense Ministry's $1.9 billion recent upgradation package is too little, too late. It has a force of just 150 soldiers, including a dozen elite squad on sleds pulled by dogs, to defend a territory larger than Mexico. After World War II, the US for the second time attempted to buy Greenland.
We are ready to pay $100 million in gold.
Declassified documents show how at first we offered Denmark parts of Point Barrow, Alaska, in exchange for strategic portions of Greenland. But each time, Denmark refused.
Greenland is not for sale.
That's absurd.
The island is not for sale and will never be for sale.
Had they agreed, Denmark would have been much richer. 20 years after Truman's proposal in 1950, USA's largest oil reserves were discovered in the Prudhoe Bay area, part of Point Barrow, now declared a national petroleum reserve. Plus, they would have saved on $700 million in annual subsidies they have been giving 50,000 plus Greenlanders, most of them local Inuits, who make up almost 90% of the population. Later this year, however, Greenlanders will likely vote for separating from Denmark, and the new country may agree to join the USA. As many citizens and politicians, including its finance minister, Eric Jensen, are open to it. Especially if Trump were to pay an estimated $1.5 to $2 trillion for it, making each Inuit an overnight dollar multimillionaire. Were he to buy the country, it would blunt the arguments of China and Russia, who seek to take over Taiwan and Ukraine respectively, citing the same security reasons. The U.S. has shopped land for centuries. In 1803, it bought Louisiana from France for $15 million. 1819 bought Florida from Spain for $5 million. 1856, the Gadsden Purchase paid Mexico $10 million for territories that are now part of Arizona and New Mexico, and $15 million to give up its claim on Texas. In 1867, Alaska was bought from Russia for $7.2 million. The same year, U.S. President Andrew Johnson tried buying Greenland for the first time. And in 1917, the U.S. bought Danish West Indies from Denmark for $25 million, renaming it Virgin Islands. Other countries too have been buying land for centuries. In 1878, France bought St. Barthélemy in the West Indies from Sweden for 320,000 French francs. In 1899, Germany bought Caroline and Marina Islands from Spain. In 1947, former USSR, Russia, bought the Finnish territory of Janiskoski-Niskakoski for 700 million Finnish marka. In 1958, Pakistan bought Gwadar port from Oman for 5.5 billion Pakistani rupees. In 1991, China bought 1,000 square kilometers of Pamir Mountains from Tajikistan. Despite Greenland's long-term potential, lack of infrastructure and finance still hamstring the island's GDP at $3.25 billion, less than 1/10 of Vermont's, $40.6 billion, America's smallest state economy. It is 3 times the size of Texas, or equal to 11 of USA's states put together. Normally, it's third time lucky. Will Trump pay or invade Greenland? What do you think? Do comment. You will also find these sources listed in our video description section.